shopping while black, but there's banking while black, and there's a chapter in your book, and you use the phrase, please use caution, to explain how people are stereotyped and profiled in banks. Can you talk a little bit about please use caution?
Please use caution is the subject line of a continuous email that goes around, or did very recently go around, a particular region of JP Morgan Chase branches in the US Northeast. It's like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And it's this sort of constant email thread where tellers from different branches describe people who came in and did weird stuff that wasn't okay. And the purpose of this chain is to warn tellers at other branches, if this person walks in, you should know that they already tried this thing here, and this is what happened. So as a concept, it makes total sense. I mean, banks are places with a lot of money. People want to figure out how to get the money. They'll, steal somebody's bank card and try to impersonate them or whatever. That's not weird. What's weird is I received a cache of emails. Obviously this please use caution thing, it's not public. It's only for internal JP Morgan employees. But somebody who was reading these emails felt super uncomfortable with some of the emails, and those were the ones that described black customers walking into a Chase branch. And after they described what the person looked like, the emails didn't really explain what they did wrong. And it was in sharp contrast with, this person came in and presented an ID and a card that had already been reported stolen, and we already talked to the real customer on the phone. No, it was like African-American man tried to cash a check from a business from Texas. I don't know what is wrong with that, and it's not explained in the email. There's another email that describes a very young African-American male with blonde dreads who comes in with a check. He wants to cash the check. The teller doesn't believe that it was issued to him. He gets upset and he leaves, and the teller calls the person who wrote the check, and the person says, yes, I wrote this check to this guy. So it's okay. Also, why is that please use caution, except maybe please don't treat that guy like that? But so I was reading these emails, and I realized that they explained what I had already learned was happening at another bank, Wells Fargo. And I want to make this point here because I'm not, in my book, I point fingers, I name names, but I'm not saying any one bank is worse than other banks. Everybody has this problem and they all need to fix it. And it's not about, a specific evil person or someone who's trying to throw a wrench in a system that works. It's everybody who's participating in a system that's not working. So there is a culture in banking in general that you see pretty often and consistently. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so I had already heard stories of Wells Fargo customers or potential customers who came into Wells Fargo branches and wanted to withdraw money or cash checks and couldn't because the tellers didn't believe them or thought they were up to no good. And I had heard those stories first, and then when I saw these emails, I was like, oh, it's literally like being inside the heads of the people who made the decision to call the cops, who made the decision to wonder why somebody had $70,000 in his bank account and say you can't take that out, even though it's your bank account.
Well, but this is actually somewhat okay in banking. There's a weird loophole in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which was pretty specific about naming the institution that shall not discriminate. But banks aren't included in that list. Can you talk about that loophole and how the banking industry essentially fought for the right to discriminate?
Yes, I don't know the specific history of who lobbied for industries well enough to describe it in detail, but what I do know is that when the Civil Rights Act was being hammered out, to get enough members of Congress to sign on to it, its creators realized that there were going to have to be a lot of narrowing factors in it. And so they listed specific businesses that you couldn't discriminate against anybody, and they were movie theaters and restaurants and hotels. The industry, or the industries and the businesses that aren't listed there have arguably been excluded and are okay discriminating. And so it's not totally settled,